Welcome to PAATH History YouTube channel. Subscribe our channel for regular notification and follow our official Facebook page. Today we are going to discuss about religion in ancient Egypt. The roots of Egyptian religion go back to the Amrician and Georgian cultures or even earlier. The first agricultural communities in Egypt worshipped mother goddesses and had their own fertility cult. As these communities got organized into clans and tribes, they adopted totems which symbolized respective clans or tribes. When clans or tribes settled down in the Nile Valley, they attached themselves to specific territories. The totems which were held sacred by clans or tribes residing in a particular area became the emblems of respective pre-dynastic territorial units. Mother goddess and fertility cults, as well as worship of certain elements of nature like sun, desert, were prevalent. In the dynastic period, the official religious ideology of Egypt revolved around the cult of the Pharaoh. However, this cult developed relatively late and it incorporated several aspects of Egyptian religion which were much older, for example, the worship of Osiris. As in the case of Mesopotamia, it is not possible to speak in terms of a single uniform Egyptian religion. Even though Egypt was politically unified at a very early date, religious beliefs and practices exhibited great diversity. We must distinguish between state-sponsored religion, which tried to embrace the country as a whole, and the local cults, which were confined to certain nomes or cities. At the popular level, several primitive beliefs persisted. Webwaith was a wolf god associated with the Asayut nome, and Sobek was a crocodile god in Thebes. Both of these might have been survivals of early totems. Egyptian religion kept evolving over centuries so that some cults were modified and transformed while others disappeared. In the dynastic period, there was a general decline in the importance of female deities and mother goddess worship. Female deities either disappeared altogether or else were subordinated to male deities. In some cases, they became consorts of prominent gods. Thus, Isis was linked to Osiris as his wife. Similarly, a lion-headed goddess called Shemet became the consort of Ptah, who was the main god of Memphis. Ptah was one of the gods who retained a large following throughout the dynastic period, even when Memphis ceased to be the capital. The worship of Ptah was popular within the educated elite as well as among artisans. There was also a tendency to combine two or three deities in the form of a family. We can mention the Osirian family, Osiris, Isis, Horus, as husband, wife, and son. Another well-known family was Ptah, Semet or consort, and Nefertun or son. We can see the growing emphasis on the family as a social unit in the attempt to fuse separate cults in this manner. Another interesting characteristic of Egyptian religion was the existence of numerous deities which were represented as part animal, usually the head, and part human. Arsaces was the ram-headed god of Heracleopolis. Sokar was a falcon-headed god worshipped in the Memphis region. The most outstanding feature of Egyptian religion at the level of the state was the worship of the sun god. From the 3rd dynasty, the pharaohs patronized solar cults in some form or the other. The solar cult embraced other cults as well. In the archaic period, the worship of Horus, represented as a falcon, became prominent, though different religious beliefs were still contending for supremacy. Evidence from the reign of Peribsen, the sixth ruler of the second dynasty, shows that there was a strong move to revive the worship of Set towards the end of the archaic period. As Walter B. Emery has pointed out, at this stage Horus had not yet been fully integrated with the Osiris cult. It was in the Old Kingdom that the process of amalgamating Horus with the Osirian family and depicting Set as evil was completed. Simultaneously, the sun god Re became the basis of official religion. A major source for information on the worship of Osiris and Re are the detailed religious texts inscribed inside pyramids. These are known as pyramid texts, and the earliest belong to the 5th dynasty, that is circa 2300 BC. The pyramid texts are the oldest written religious texts in the world. The trend of royal worship of Re assumed significance under Djoser. Gradually, a theology evolved whereby Re, Osiris, Horus, and pharaohs were accommodated in the pantheon. According to the genealogy which was created, Osiris and Horus were regarded as having descended from the sun god Re. Thus, the divine pharaoh was associated with Re as well as with Osiris and Horus. The worship of Re was fully established by the 4th dynasty. This cult maintained its preeminent position in Egyptian religion for over 25 centuries. Of course, the actual manner in which Re was worshipped underwent several changes throughout this long period. At different points of time, Re was linked to separate deities. This was the direct outcome of political changes. As new groups rose to power, they sought to project their own cults by combining them with the worship of Re. This was done by resorting to the device of converting a given local deity into a manifestation of Re. For instance, Ammon became Ammon Re, Atum became Atum Re, and Sobek became Sobek Re. This formula was convenient for giving a more universal appeal to local deities. In Egypt, the priests by and large did not directly wield much political authority. However, they played a crucial ideological role in the political structure, and in times of crisis, their support could be vital. In the Old Kingdom, the priests of Heliopolis had acquired a special status. Heliopolis was located close to Memphis. Atum was the main god of the city. The Heliopolis priesthood successfully identified Atum with a much older deity, namely the sun god Re. Through this association, they made Atum more widely acceptable. The Heliopolis priests consolidated their position by attaching themselves firmly to the state. The Atum Re cult was the dominant cult of the Old Kingdom. When there was a prolonged era of political crisis after the 4th dynasty and the authority of the pharaohs weakened, the Heliopolis priests became politically powerful. Under the 5th and 6th dynasties, the Heliopolis priesthood enlarged the scope of its authority. The Old Kingdom came to an end with the collapse of the 6th dynasty. With the decline of the centralized state in the first intermediate period, the Heliopolis priests and Atum Re cult suffered a setback. the focus shifted to some powerful nomes which asserted their independence. Provincial governors became strong, and in Greek accounts, such governors are referred to as nomarchs. Heracleopolis became one of the major new centers of power. With the rise of Heracleopolis, Arsaces, the local god of the city, became a leading deity for some time. When Egypt was once again unified under 11th and 12th dynasties, the worship of Atum-Re was replaced by the worship of Ammon-Re. In the Middle Kingdom, the center of political power moved to Thebes in Upper Egypt. The rulers of the 11th and 12th dynasties came from Thebes. Ammon was the main deity of Thebes. Re was now conceptualized as Ammon-Re, and it was in this form that the sun god was worshipped for most of the Middle and New Kingdoms. We also have references to Sovek-Re, a crocodile deity of Thebes. From the 12th dynasty, the Pharaoh was represented as being descended from Ammon. The Ammon cult became foremost cult of the Egyptian state. This cult was so influential that when Amenhotep IV, one of the rulers of the 18th dynasty, tried to break away from it by transferring the capital from Thebes to a new site called Akhet Aten, where he established the worship of another deity, Aten. His move was short-lived. His successor once again made the Thebes the capital of the empire and ensured the continued domination of Ammon or Ammon-Re. During the course of these changes, the Osirian cult was also modified. In the Old Kingdom, only the Pharaoh enjoyed the privilege of being reborn as Osiris. Later on, this privilege was extended to other members of the royal family, and yet later to provincial governors or nomarchs and the aristocracy. Several sections of the ruling class were allowed to perform the ritual for being reborn as Osiris. Correspondingly, there seems to have been a decline in the importance of the Osiris cult in terms of promoting the divinity of the Pharaoh. Though the Osiris cult remained very popular, its overall character was transformed after the Old Kingdom. One might comment here that by the end of the 4th dynasty, the notion that the Pharaoh was a god was ingrained in the minds of the Egyptian to such an extent that it was no longer necessary to rely on the Osirian myth to perpetuate the idea of the Pharaoh's divinity and immortality. So this is the end of today's discussion. Subscribe our channel for regular notification, like our video and follow our official Facebook page. For any query, feel free to mail us. For details, see the description.